Alright, the first step in installing the new upgrade kit is to go ahead and strip the unit down to just the lower base. So to do that, we're going to remove the bonnet, which is just these two tabs right here, and that'll pull right off. Go ahead and set that aside. Next, we can pull the globe off. Again, very easily, just pull it up and off the lower base. Finally, we can remove the drawer. Again, pulls out, set it aside. And now we have the lower base ready for our install kit. Now that we have just the lower base, we can go ahead and remove the control panel cover right here. You can see there'll be 5 screws here, 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 and here. We'll remove those and be able to pop this cover. For that, you'll need just a simple, any old number 2 Phillips head. Once those are all loose, we can go ahead and pop this cover. Go ahead and push in on one of the buttons, and you can see the cover is easy to remove, and we've exposed the control panel. Now that we're here, we can go ahead and remove the old mainboard. So there'll be 3 wires connected to it. We just pull them out from the back, and we can set this aside. The next step here is to go ahead and remove this wire retaining clip. A set of needle nose pliers, pull on the tab, and pull it straight out. Now that that clip's removed, we need to push the DFI wire back into the base. That's located here. You'll notice it by the 4 pins, and it's a yellow, red, black, and blue wire. So we want to take that, and you're going to have to pull up on the motor. We can set that to the side, and that'll free up our wire up here. Once I've done that, I can take it and just push it back down into the hole until it's all the way back down in there. Now that we have that wire removed, what we're going to do is actually put the control panel back on. And really all this is just to make it easier for the next steps in the process. We're going to go back into here. So place the motor back down in its cavity. Take your control panel, put it back on top. Make sure the wires are out of the way. And then really we only need 1 screw in for this. Take that, put it back down there, and this is going to allow us to be able to tilt the unit and not drop the motor and any other parts in here. Now that our unit's temporarily back together, we can go ahead and flip it until we can see the bottom. Now we're going to be removing an additional set of screws here, here, 1 back here, and then the other 4 over here. So again, taking our Phillips head screwdriver, just begin removing the screws. Don't forget about this one in the back. You can see it behind or above the serial sticker. Once you've loosened all the screws, be very careful in tilting it back, as they're going to fall out if you didn't pull them out originally. And go ahead and set those aside. Now we have the upper and lower base separated from each other. and we can begin accessing the underside. Now that we have the fasteners out, we can go ahead and begin separating these two. So to start, I'm going to flip it over, being careful to hold it together, and then carefully pull up on the lower base and twist it out of the way. We have to be careful here because we still have wires going between these two parts. Now that I have that, we can begin removing the rest of the DFI system. So our DFI system is here and here. We have the wire from earlier, the yellow, red, blue, and black wire, and you'll notice it's free. You can see the connector, so let's just pull that out of the way. The other side here has our contacts to the pinch terminal. We have to be very careful to pull these out and not wreck the pinch setup. Now that both sides of the DFI are free, we can begin removing it. And that's going to be these 4 screws right here. So taking, again, our number 2 Phillips, place it in and just begin removing these brackets. Once all 4 screws are removed, you can pull up on these brackets. Careful of the cable in the back, and these will be free. You can go ahead and set those aside like our main board. Now that the DFI system's been removed, we can begin installing our new laser DFI system. So with the bracket that came in the kit and our new DFI, we can go ahead and install it in. It simply slips in. There'll be clearance for the wires on either side, and you can see the little black lens will poke through this hole in the DFI bracket. Now that we have this assembled, we can go ahead and install it. It's very important that this is installed over on the side by the motor or control panel. It will not work over here. It has to be installed on this side. So just like we removed the old one, these will pop down, and we can install with the 2 screws we removed or the 2 new ones in the kit. This DFI comes with the same pinch setup that we removed earlier. So we're going to want to take that, place it around into the clip, and go ahead and take them and install them to the 2 tabs we pulled off of earlier. Again, be careful not to jostle this up and down too much because you could interfere with the function of the pinch setup. To give it extra support, I'm placing my thumb behind it so I have something to push against. Now that we have the DFI system installed on the left, we can go ahead and place this dummy bracket on the right. Now this is important for the function of the drawer. The drawer actually slides along this surface, so not having this here will interfere with the drawer operation and can interfere with how the laser senses a waste drawer. So go ahead and place in the 2 screws, just like we removed. We're all set there. Now that the DFI is installed, the dummy bracket's installed, pinch is reassembled, we have our DFI cable. We want to go ahead and feed that back up the little port into the motor cavity. The more you can push back up in there, the less likely it is to get caught on anything when we go to reconnect it later. Next, we'll go ahead and take our base, carefully rotate it around. Again, be careful of the wires that are still attached. And then we want to make sure that seat's nice and flush. Again, hold it together. Give it a quick check. Everything's together, so we can begin replacing the screws we took out earlier. Finally, don't forget our single screw back here. Now that we're back up to this side, we can go ahead and begin installing our new main board. So let's take out that screw we put in earlier to get access back into the control panel. And you'll see our DFI wire is up in here now. Go ahead and give it a slight pull to make sure we have as much of the cable as we can. And I'm going to go ahead and pull our motor up again. And you'll see there's a channel in here for all these wires to run down in, under the motor, and up to our control panel. So this can be a little tricky, but go ahead and take these wires and kind of get them down into this channel as best you can. And of course our new DFI wire is going to be a little tricky. It hasn't learned the spot yet. If you have to, hold it. And then we're going to place the motor back down inside, being careful that we also have its wires remain in that channel. Once you've done that, this should sit nice and flush. You'll notice it follows the angle of the rest of the plastic. Okay. Any wires inside of here, the first time the litter robot moves, can get caught and it'll pull itself apart. So we got to make sure this remains clear. Using the clip we pulled out earlier, let's go ahead and push this back down behind these wires until they snap into place. Just like that, keeping all our wires nice and tucked away behind the motor. So the main board we took out earlier, we're going to go ahead and take the cover from that, setting this aside. And then our new main board, we'll get it installed. You can tell the difference by our new Wi-Fi module on the board. The old board won't have that. Go ahead and apply our key guard on top, letting all the rubber go around the board. This helps protect it from any cats that spray against the control panel and locates it to make sure all our buttons work correctly. Now that we have this built up, we can go ahead and plug it back into the litter robot. You'll see this has 3 ports on it, a 4, a 6, and an 8 pin, which will match our wires, which are 4, 6, and 8 pins. Our new DFI will start off with 4. There's only one way it can go, so if it's fighting you, make sure that you don't have it accidentally upside down. We can take the next one, 6, and then the final 8. Double check, make sure those are all seated in there nicely. Make sure we didn't take any of the wires and move them into the motor. And now we're ready to install the panel cover. So go ahead and take it. I like to place this behind and make sure that all my buttons and lights stick out. And then you can take it and make sure it seats again nice and flush over the motor cavity, and we can begin reinstalling our screws. So to start with this process, we're going to go ahead and remove the old decal and apply our new Wi-Fi one. Obviously, this is aesthetic. If you choose not to do it, it's not going to affect the function of the robot. So I'm just going to peel this off right here and exchange it for our new black Wi-Fi one. Align it as best you can and go ahead and push that nice and firmly onto the cover. And that's all there is to it. The one thing we're going to have to add, and make sure you do, is the QR code. This is important for the onboarding process and using the app with the Litter Robot 3. So we're going to go ahead and just place it over our old QR sticker to make sure it's always with the unit. Peel that off and stick it on as clean as we can. Now that everything's installed from the upgrade kit, we can put the Litter Robot back together, just like we took it apart. Now we can go ahead and install the drawer. It's important to make sure there's nothing in the drawer. No old bags, no new bags, just yet, because upon first startup, it's going to calibrate our new laser DFI. So make sure that this is empty and installed properly. Globe. Making sure in the back that our key is seated here. It's very easy to set it in like that, and it can cause problems with operation. So just make sure that's seated in there. And finally, the bonnet. Making sure our clips fall into their seats in the back. And that's on both sides. You'll notice this one did not. There we go. And then we can clip that in.